Hey everybody. So we are well into the NHL offseason now. Free agency has kind of died down. The draft is passed. There's not a whole lot of player movement going on, as there was even a week ago anymore. And we're kind of getting into that middle of the summer where not that much is going on. So I thought, what a great time to bring back NHL Remember Him. I haven't, obviously I started doing these during the season last year, but took a break during the playoffs and haven't done any since. So I figured that now as we get into the middle of the summer where things really aren't happening all that quickly, obviously I still need content to put up. What better to do than to bring back NHL Remember Him? So for this episode, we are doing our first goaltender. I have never done a goaltender in this series yet. This is my first goalie, and it is Jose Theodore. Many of you will probably remember him, either from his time in Montreal or his time in Washington towards the end of his career. But Jose Theodore put a pretty nice NHL career together over the course of almost, he was drafted in 1994, and he played almost until 2012, 2013. So an almost 20-year career together for Jose Theodore. He lasted a long time in the NHL. He was a very, very solid goaltender and had a few very good seasons mixed in there where he was a very high-level goaltender. So over the course of his regular season career, Jose Theodore played in 648 games. He earned 286 wins, 254 losses, and I combined OT losses and ties. Obviously, they still had ties before the lockout. Theodore was around for a number of years before the lockout, and then after the lockout, they became overtime losses. I just combined those together to make 69. So a career record of 286, 254, and 69. His career goals against average is 2.68 and a career save percentage of .909. So not spectacular numbers, not Vezina level numbers, but a very solid goaltender in his own right. In his playoff career, he played in 56 playoff games, earning 21 wins and 30 losses, with a .279 goals against average in the playoffs and a .912 save percentage. So his goals against average gets worse in the postseason, but his save percentage gets better. So, like I said, Jose Theodore was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in 1994. He was a second-round pick for Montreal. And he played for the Canadiens from 1995 all the way until 2006. And that is where I mostly know Jose Theodore from, obviously being a Bruins fan. Growing up in the early 2000s when I was a little kid just getting into hockey, he was Montreal's goaltender. And I remember him vividly as Montreal's goaltender. And, he was the hated Habs netminder, and I certainly learned all about him when he was playing for the Canadiens. In 2006, he got traded to the Colorado Avalanche, where he played from 2006 to 2008 for a few seasons. He was decent in Colorado. He had one especially pretty good year in Colorado, his final season there. And then he went to Washington from 2008 to 2010. His time in Washington was very good. He had a couple of nice seasons in Washington for the Capitals. He had 30 wins both years. He was the goaltender for Washington. And I remember him vividly with the Capitals as well. He was a solid netminder for them. Then he spent 2010, 2011, 1 year in Minnesota. That did not go all that well. And then he finished his career from 2011 to 2013 with the Florida Panthers. And then he was done in the NHL, almost 20 years in the league. A very, very long and solid career for Jose Theodore. And certainly not a Hall of Fame goaltender, not a standout Vezina level, top goaltender in the league guy by any stretch, but a very solid goaltender. A number of good years as a starter, more good years as a backup, but good enough to last that long in the league for sure. And one of the biggest things about that people remember about Theodore is his size, because he was very, very small, especially for a goalie. We're so used to nowadays, with the equipment being so big and the goaltenders being so big, we're used to seeing goalies who are 6'4", 6'5". They take up the most of the net. They spend a lot of time on their knees, and they're still, their shoulders are almost up to the crossbar. That's kind of the new mold for goaltenders. Well, Jose Theodore did not fit that mold. He was 5'11", 172 pounds, real small guy, not big at all, and he relied on his athleticism and his quickness and his ability to move in the net to make the needed saves. And for a small guy, he was a very good and effective goaltender. He was not the kind of goalie that you just plop in the net and the shooter looks at the net and has nothing to shoot at. He's not a Ben Bishop type like that. You could see the net. You could be like, oh, I can shoot there. There's no goalie there. Well, he would move that glove hand lightning fast. He would kick those pads out, and that area you thought you had to shoot at would go away very quickly. He relied on positioning. He relied on quickness and athleticism and his ability to move. And even for a small guy, he was a very effective goaltender. So Jose Theodore is this week's NHL Remember Him. I certainly do, from his time with Montreal through his time with Colorado and Washington and ending his career in Florida. He put a very good career together and was a very solid NHL goalie. So let me know if you remember him as well. I certainly do. And with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. If you don't know already, we are on our road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you can help us get there in any way, please, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.